Welcome in to the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 12-year NFL veteran.
He's got some speed to go with strength.
Huskers and Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer.
Shovel pass to Green into Vikings territory. Finally brought down.
And University of Nebraska eSports coach.
Green all by himself. 20, 10, touchdown. 98 yards and a Lambeau leap.
Here is your host, Ahman Green.
Welcome to the first one. There has to be, in order for greatness to happen, there has to be a first. And this is it. We welcome you all to 93.7 The Ticket and the legend, number 30 himself, Ahman Green. AG, how you doing, brother? There we go. We got them all set. 402-460-5685. Starter Heyman text line. If you want to communicate into the show, you can do so. That's the Starter Heyman text line. You can also follow on the live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter Live. You can see what's going on in studio. And again, make yourself comfortable with the legend himself, number 30, AG. AG, what's happening, man?
Man, not much, man. Just having a good trip here in the Boston area. Myself and one of my faculty team members and good friends, Alan Eno, came out here for the Esports College Expo and was rubbing shoulders with some of the other directors and coaches of esports around the nation at the collegiate level, high school level, grassroots level, elementary, middle school, and sharing best practices and getting ideas, sharing ideas of how we organize a program, build it from the ground up, develop the players, develop coaches, how to get sponsorships, partnerships, and just try to help grow together this industry from our scholastic level, basically.
AG, in full disclosure, there's zero chance we can get AG to tell us everything we need to know about esports, and there's zero chance we can go over and talk about all the stuff that we need to talk to AG about when it comes to just sports in general, Huskers in general, or specifically. So what we're going to do first, AG, is for those that may not know, let's go. I always, the first time I have somebody on, I like to ask them, how did you get here? The people in your life that got you from Omaha to Lincoln to where you are back to Lincoln. Who are those people in your lives, and what are the messages they sent you with?
Oh man, I'll say I start with my mom and dad, and just being raised by them. My mom, Glenda, before she got married, Glenda Ross, but once she did, Glenda Scott, and she married Edward Scott, my stepfather, and just those two individuals. And then my dad was David Green, well known in the area, in Omaha. So born in Omaha, and just from there raising, basically teaching me, accountability, respect, getting your tasks done, whatever is asked of me in the house as a kid. I was the last one out the house. I was the baby. My mom called me the caboose, and so I was the only kid in the house by the time my brothers and sisters moved out and grew up on their own and started their own family. So I was kind of the alpha, and I'll say another a kid growing up in that household of strict rules, but I adjusted to them, and I think that was the starting point of learning and being the person that eventually I was going to turn into, because I was always a kid that wanted to play sports, but I wanted to be treated fairly. I was going to work hard for whatever I got. I wasn't going to just ask for anything. I was going to get my work done and then ask for something, because that's basically how I was raised. It's like you got stuff done, you got your room clean, you got good grades, you staying out of trouble at school, then then you can ask if you want something, or request, make a request for whatever. You earned it, so it was a hard work well done, basically. And that's basically how I raised my kids once I got older. But that started when I was like 5 or 6, playing traditional sports, football, baseball, basketball in Los Angeles. That's where I grew up for most of my young childhood. And then we moved back to Nebraska in Omaha in 1991, and that's when I became a North Omaha Boys Club Bear. If you remember that, down on Florence Boulevard, and the building's still there, but it's not the Boys Club anymore. But that's where I started playing football for Mr. Michael Carter and the Boys Club Bears, and just got, that's where I basically stepped back on Nebraska soil and got things rolling again.
AG, it's always interesting when people who achieve greatness speak to that greatness and they go back and they say, okay, these are the foundations, these are the steps, these are the angels on my shoulder that helped me achieve this thing. But
Hmm.
and you talked about foundational sports, but you were also a power lifter. So
Yes.
that even back then, that may have taken you away from what was considered the norm. What did that do for you? What did the crossing of those sports
Ooh.
and those talents do for you?
It supercharged my body, and I'll say obviously supercharged me above everybody else that were my age that was only doing a few other sports. And or a few, I say different sports that I wasn't, that I was doing. And it was brought to me to my from my head coach who just passed away a few years ago, Coach Joe McMinimum out of Omaha Central, where my brothers went. My sister went there as well, so it was more of a traditional thing. But I remember coming in as a junior, transfer from North after my sophomore year, and that was all because of my grades. And then my mom graduated from Central. She said, "You're going to my school. You're going to graduate, and make sure you get the education you should get, and then get ready for the real world." And so I did the transfer, coming into a situation where my best friend still today, Damian Morrow, he was the starting running back for Omaha Central, rushed for over almost 2,000 yards, about 1,800 yards his sophomore year. Where at North I had cracked, barely just got over 1,000. So it was a situation where I didn't know I was going to play a whole lot because of that. Him being a number one, I say top 10 rusher in the state, and I'm just grazing 1,000 yards. So, but once practice started, everything just kind of flowed. We became best friends. Him, John O'Bradford, Andy Thompson. That was the group right there. And then through that football season, we did what we did. We had a fantastic year. And then I remember right before the end of the season, we had a coach, a talk with Coach Mack, and he's like talking the whole team. And he said, "Hey guys, football season's almost over. And so I want to make sure I understand, and I'm gonna let you know what you guys got to do, prepare for the next football season and in between now and then. So we got spring coming up. So I know some of you guys are gonna play basketball. I know some of you guys are going to wrestle. Some of you are going to run track. But here in the winter break, from that time in like November to through December, and then get in the spring, after the winter break into January, what are y'all doing? Because I know the basketball players are going to be playing basketball. Wrestlers going to start their season, and then track is in the spring. So if you're not doing nothing, you're in the weight room. You're going to be powerlifting. And for me, I was like, okay, I'm used to that. And because the program that we had at Central was outstanding. And then my brother, when I was at North, when I became a freshman and a sophomore, my brother Jerry, my oldest brother, and my other brother Nikki as well, from time to time, they would pick me up after school and then take me to work out, take me to the gym. We work out, then we go grab dinner, and then they bring me back home. And so that became a little ritual that we did once or twice a week, through my freshman and sophomore year. And so I had also that guidance as well from my older brothers, who basically were on the path. I was on the same path that they were on, playing high school football, playing little league football, but showing me the way. As an athlete, what you got to do, you got to train your body, you got to train your mind, you got to, then, take care of business in the classroom. But we'll have fun. We were brothers, so we'll, go work out, go get something to eat, and come to the house, play a few little video games. That's when the video games had always been there and never went anywhere. When I was in California and being 6'7", I was come home from school and get my homework done, do my chores, and then go play Tecmo Bowl or Super Mario Brothers. So it was all that stuff was just floating around. But I knew that if I wanted to play video games, I had to make sure I did my homework first. I had to make sure my room is clean before any of that could go down. Because if any of that wasn't done, I was going to be in trouble. And
AG,
so,
you said you jumped into Tecmo Bowl. Who was your go-to? Who
my
was your
go-to was the Chicago Bears, '85 Bears with Walter Payton.
and as you won unless you played against Bo Jackson. Like that
Oh
literally is
yeah,
your
that was it. It was either Walter or Bo. I would pick those teams, and with the crew that I mentioned, Andy, Jono, and Damien, go to Andy's house, and we'd be playing Tecmo Bowl back and forth, beating each other up on the game. So
Oh, man.
But yeah, once I got there, and then Coach Mack laid that law down, like, hey, if you're not wrestling or playing basketball, you're in the weight room powerlifting. And so that right there was like, oh man, I already love weights because, like I said, doing what I did with my brother Nick, my Nicky brother Jerry and Nikki, I was like, so it was like no problem. And seeing their names on the wall, they're my brothers with picture was names and picture on the wall, and I'm like, okay, this is motivation. I'm looking at that number, 6 something, 625 or whatever. I'm gonna get that number, eventually. So it's just motivation, but then also um, things that I knew that were basically needed to be on my path to where I wanted to go. With my life in sports, going to college, getting a scholarship wherever that was going to be, and playing football, playing baseball, running track, whatever I decided to do at the college level.
Who and when was it passed along that the academic side of this thing was going to elevate the athletic side of it?
My mom and dad, right away. It started in California when I was out in LA playing Pop Warner football. I started playing Pop Warner at 8 years old. It was interesting that team, not only so my parents already laid the law down. I had to have A's and B's if I wanted to go outside and play, if I wanted to go hang out with my friends on the weekends, go to slumber parties or whatever. But then when I started playing tackle football, I played for the Baldwin Hills Saracens, and we had the same colors as the LA Rams because we were in Los Angeles. And I remember going to the park, and we were at registration. You're standing in line I'm standing in line with my mom. Get to the table. They got, helmet, shoulder pad, and my mom got to fill out the paperwork. It's $75 for the helmet and shoulder pads and the butt pads and the hip pads and the thigh pads, all that stuff for your outfit.
Mhm.
And then it's this contract, and the contract was for me. I'm thinking it's for my mom. It's like, no, no, you read this. Read this contract. It's talking about having a GPA, and I'm like, I'm an eighth grader. I mean, I'm 8 years old. I'm like third,
Yeah,
fourth grade. I'm like, dang, I don't
right.
even know what a GPA is, and
Right?
and my mom was like, that's your grade point average. And I'm like, oh, and well, they said don't, he's in elementary. Just say like A or B average. Just put that down. He doesn't have that yet. So I put like an AB average to, that I'm gonna have that throughout the season, so I could be eligible to play. So that was then. So that was 8 years old, where I knew between the football team I was playing for and my mom and dad at home that I knew I had to be up on my grades. And if I need help, ask for help, get tutoring or whatever. So I wasn't, I learned right away. Look, if I need help, I need help. I'm gonna ask somebody.
Man, we're with the legend. This is the first in a series of shows with Amon Green, Husker great, Green Bay great, Seahawks great. Uh, I think for me, and we'll get into later into this episode, we'll get into the esports and the University of Nebraska and in that space.
Hmm.
But I think setting the table with you, because all of these things allow the greatness you're now living in. Like if you
Yeah,
don't have the educational background, then you can't become an educator.
correct,
And,
correct,
and it's a
correct.
message that needs to be shared along the way. That remember, I was taught by one of my coaching greats that you practice the way you study. You're the same person
Exactly.
in both
Hmm.
spaces. So if you develop good habits in one, they will transfer over to the other. What is the habit that you have? What is the one trait that you have that
Hmm.
carries over both as an educator and as an athlete? What is that one thing that you look for in others?
Say that last part. I thought you were adding something
So,
more.
no, so what's the one trait?
Well, the one trait that I look for or that I do, um, is just being consistent, doing the same thing every day, and the same thing being every day being the same things that are the right things every day that I do for myself. So as a kid, it was wake up, eat breakfast, get dressed, get my backpack packed, make sure I got everything ready to go to school, and make sure I get to school early, like a half hour early. So showing up, holding myself accountable to being on time to school, and it just was a domino effect for everything I did. I did it by the book. I made sure I did it right, and if I didn't do it right, I'll ask the teacher, ask a coach, ask somebody older than me. Hey, we had this assignment. What's due or how we need to do it, and I asked the questions about what I needed to do because by the time I got to Central, my mind was already like, okay, I'm a junior. and it's just one more year, then I'm gonna be have an opportunity to go to college. So my brain and the way I was already been guided by my parents, I was locked in on college. Period.
Yeah.
If it was college football, if it was college baseball, or even track, I said I'm going one of those avenues. And I even put in my head, look, even if somehow I get hurt, I turn my knee up or something, break a shoulder or dislocate, I'm gonna still, go academic. I still want to get a degree, and maybe I could do something else on the side, like bowling or swimming, something different. If I can't do the football, I'll figure it out. So that was one thing that I was always planning. And I say that was another little trait too. So being consistent, and then always thinking years ahead of what will come that in front of me, and so I could be prepared for it.
I think it's that's amazing that the plan has to be put into effect. But I would also ask you this, because if you were able to talk to 15-year-old Ahman
Hmm.
and tell him the path that his life is going to take, 15-year-old Ahman wouldn't believe you.
I I will believe. I would be like, is that it? Because I remember my first stinger I got in football. It was my second year playing tackle football, and we had transferred. I had moved to another park. I went to Culver City, played for the Culver City Lancers. We had Pittsburgh Steeler colors, black helmets, yellow and black jerseys, white and black, home and away. And we was practice. It was, we're getting into physical. Now we're tackling drills and all that. And we did the one that drill. I'm pretty sure it's illegal now. It's an angle drill where you come in and try to tackle the guy from the side.
Can't do
And
it.
then yep, you're standing up as a linebacker and you kind of pursue him from an angle, and boom, y'all meet. We met, and both of us were out on the ground crying. Oh, I'm holding my shoulder. The kid I hit, he's crying. Oh my god, man. So in my head, I'm just flashing my future. It's like, oh man, football's over. This pain. I'm like, oh man, it's over. I'm like, football's
This is
over.
it.
This is it, right? All
Uh,
right, baseball, basketball, everything else, but football is done. This is, I don't know. I think I just broke my. I don't know if I broke my neck, if I broke my collarbone. I don't know. It just hurts like all get out.
uh,
So my stepdad's the coach. He picks me up. He comes to over and picks me up. He calms me down, got me to the car, takes me to the hospital. My mom meets us there, and we're sitting in the ER. Then the doctor calls us in, and he starts examining my shoulders. And by this time, the pain's gone away. I got an ice bag on my shoulder, and doctor, sits me down, takes the ice bag. I'll start, do all the shoulder examination, pull and tug on my neck, and ask me to turn my head and where's my pain? Where's the pain at? I'm like, it's like right here, and he kind of presses on it. Does that hurt? And he goes through the whole process, and then and he's like, you know what? You know what, kid? You just got a stinger. That's all. It's your first. He said, "Have you ever had a stinger before?" I said, "No, I don't even know what those are." And my dad started laughing because he played college football and played high school, and he's just, "Oh, okay, I get it. That's what it is." And so I'm like, "All right." Well, I'm like, "What is it?" He said, "Oh, it's just a kind of like a pinched nerve thing. You just hit it right dead on it, and it happens a lot to players. The only thing that could come out of this, if you get hit again on it, it could just now become a recurring thing. So that's the only, you know, potential worst thing that could happen. You just hit that nerve again." I'm like, "Okay." And I kinda sat there, and I said, "Wait a minute, okay, got a question for you, doc. So you telling me is that the worst pain I'm gonna have in football, potentially?" He's like, "You know what? Yeah, it's probably gonna be the worst. I mean, other than breaking a bone or something." I'm like, "Oh," and it just clicked. And that right there for my football career and other people out there, other kids my age, I now had another frame of reference because 'cause I'd hit that pain threshold, right?
yeah.
And now my whole mindset is like, if that's the worst pain Imma feel, I can handle that because I handled it this time. I said, "Uh-oh." My dad said, "What you talking about?" I said, "That's the word. That's it. I can handle that. If I go through that again, I can deal with that. I just gotta take a couple deep breaths, walk it off." And he's like, "Boy, be quiet. Just get in the car. What you talking about?"
Immediately on my nose, I'm gonna be a problem. I'm gonna
I'm gonna
be a
be a
problem.
problem. And sure enough, I mean, because I was in my neighborhood for playing in the front yard with my friends, sandball, or playing in the streets, or playing on the. We had actually a patch of grass that went the whole neighborhood. It was called the island. We called it the island, and it was a little like I'll say about 20 yards, and it went the whole length of the neighborhood. It was about 20 yards wide,
Mm.
length of the neighborhood. And so all the kids in the neighborhood were out there playing football on it, baseball, you know, softball, whatever. We was out there playing tag on it. And so, that happened around that time. I'm in this neighborhood, and once I got better and then football season was over and I'm out there playing with my friends, they're like, I got, I'm 8, 9, 10 years old. I'm playing with 13, 14, 15-year olds, and I'm laying them out. And they're like, man, what's up? Hey, we want AG on our team. Like when we pick teams, like AG, come here. All right, yeah, I'm the littlest one. They picking me up. And I'm like, little dude, he's a little animal. Oh man, it's just so that, like I said, when that happened, it changed my whole frame of reference. And I say, and through my life, it got reset. My frame of reference kept getting reset, and then more to the point to where, oh, I could do that. Okay, now I know how to do this. And so I think that's where a lot of people sometimes in their life they don't have that change of frame of reference because they have one and it just sticks there
Yeah.
and it kind of keeps themselves in a box. And then through time, it never changes. And if you don't push yourself to, be the best you, it doesn't have to be in sports, just in life, be the best, you know, postal worker, or be the best school teacher, or be just a good parent. Sometimes you got to think outside the box and push yourself, and it was just something that was came naturally. It was nothing, my mom and dad talked to me and preached to me. They weren't, hey, you gotta be good like this, you gotta do that. I just like, you know, I figured that, for if I do the things that I normally do around the house, stay out of trouble, do my chores, hit the books when, in school, and be the, athlete that I was. I watched sports growing up. So I knew that, okay, if I do keep doing this, I might have a chance to be, playing football like these guys are on TV. If it's at UCLA or at Nebraska or for the Raiders or for the Bears or whoever, Chicago Bears, whoever. But that's it. Hopefully, I want to stay on that path, and that's where, once I got to high school, I was locked in because it wasn't. I knew the math. I'm 16, 15 years old, and I'm only 8, 9 years away from being that age where I could be in the NFL. I could be playing at a D1 college. So it's like once I got to Central, I was like, I'm not that far away, and I'm competing at a high level, kids my age, and I guess I'm very humble, but I would say I was dominating them, but I was never braggadocious about it. I just did my job. I played ball, have fun. Some of my teammates, they would do some trash talking, but for me, it was like, hey, I'm on this. This is my business. I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna take care of it. Do my job when asked upon.
AG, when did you know that University of Nebraska, was the place rather than UCLA, rather than another place where you can go in and it's runners universities around the country? But when and why did you choose Nebraska?
Oh, that's a great story. So I was literally the last scholarship of that 1995 recruiting class. I remember Coach Osborne telling me that when I signed, and he had a little joke on it too, like, you had us waiting, sweating over here. I was like, no, it wasn't on purpose. I honestly didn't know. I took visits to Notre Dame. I took visits to Michigan, Arizona, and remember Arizona? They had Dick Tomey as the head coach.
Yes,
They had the
sir.
they had the Desert Swarm defense with Teddy Bruschi,
Yeah.
and I think they had a strong safety, but his last name was Spurlock. And I
Yep.
watched them too. Penn State. So I had those 5 schools on me. That I narrowed down to those were my 5 schools. And then Penn State, I ended up, marking them off the list because they wanted me to verbally commit before I took a physical visit. And by that time, I was savvy. My dad sat me down and talked to me about, what being recruited meant. That means you could pick a school. I mean,
Mhm.
you're basically like going to buy a car. You could kick the tires. You could ask questions about it. You know, what type of offense do y'all run? What type of defense y'all run? Do y'all have my major at that time? It was I wanted to be go into computer science, and so I was like, oh, okay, it's one of those type of situations. I understand. So I made my list. Like I said, Penn State got knocked off. So then I had Michigan, Notre Dame, Nebraska, and Arizona. Those were the 4 schools I was taking a visit to. And, long story short of it, how I boiled down to it. So I'm down to Nebraska and Arizona. Took visits to all 4 of those schools. And it was the night of the Orange Bowl where the Cornhuskers, the '94 Cornhuskers, beat Miami in the Orange Bowl for the national title. So me and the family, I'm over my at that time my girlfriend's house watching the game. Great game first half. Everybody's feeling it. Everybody's watching it. Everybody's excited. Like, this is it right here. This is gonna be the game. It's halftime. I get a phone call. Phone rings. It's my mom. She says, "Meet us at the hospital. Your dad just had a heart attack. He's recovering, but he's stabilized. He's stable. So meet us there." And I'm like, boom, I get in the car. Of course, nobody on the streets, everybody in the house or a restaurant watching the game. So I could get to what is it? It was right down from my girlfriend's apartment, Douglas, I think not Douglas County, it was downtown. Can't think of it right now, but he was there. I get there and it's me, my two brothers, my sister, and we're sitting in the family area. My mom was in the room with my dad, and we're in the family area. Of course, they got the game on. And so I go in and say hi to my dad, and he's like, says hello. We talk a little bit, and I just let him rest. I go into the family area and just start watching the game, and I'm back glued into the game, and like standing there, watching the game, and like right at the end when I say Corey Schlesinger is one of his last touchdowns, he falls into the end zone. I'm like, it just kind of hit me, and I wasn't even thinking about it. I was watching the game. I was glued into the game, and it just clicked in my head, just like everything else. The switch went off, and I'm like, this is where I need to be for the next 4 years.
That's
This is
it.
it. Because I'm with my family. If something like this goes down, I don't have to ride an airplane here. This is it. So the next morning, I woke up, told my mom that, and then we got everything set up to do a small press conference at Omaha Central. And then that's when I decided, I let everybody know that I wanted to go be a Nebraska Cornhusker.
AG, there's so like, I'm glad I put the disclaimer in the front of it that there's zero chance we can cover everything we want to cover over the course of it, but this is why we're going to do it every week so that we can go through and get these stories told and get this stuff out. We'll take a break here, and in 4 minutes we'll come back to the Ahman Green Show. He'll take us through esports, the introduction. He'll give us that esports 101, that first day class, that intro to esports with Ahman Green when we come back.
March is a month of good luck. From epic runs in state basketball to watching Cinderella spring the upset in college basketball. And of course, St. Patrick's Day. Luck is on your side at Mullen Motors too, because their lot is full of great vehicles to take home. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride, as summer road trips are just around the corner. Your luck starts this month at Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
This is Jay Foreman. When I played football for Nebraska and in the NFL, I wore protective gear to safeguard my health. Today, I'm not only protecting my health, but everyone in our community by staying up to date with the bivalent COVID vaccine. Update your protection with the bivalent COVID vaccine while it's still free. Find out more at healthylincoln.org. That's healthylincoln.org.
Guys, when I first started with Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, I weighed in at over 300 pounds. Now, less than a year later, I'm under 200 pounds for the first time since high school. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, and it all began with the Farrell's 10-Week Challenge. 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and guided nutrition coaching to help you reach your fitness goals. Their next 10-week challenge begins on April 8th. If you're wanting to change your life like I have, head to theticketfm.com and click on Enroll Now on the homepage. Plus, get a promo code for a discount just for ticket listeners. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
March is full of high school state basketball action, the NCAA tournament, baseball season starting up, all great things that also cause a lot of stress. Instead of letting your nerves get the best of you and cause uncomfortable tightness, get ahead of all of it with a massage from The Body Shop. The Body Shop in Lincoln is your place for all types of massages, deep tissue, hydrating, sports, Swedish, hot stone, aroma, and more. And don't forget about their couples massages. Book your appointment today at thebodyshoplincoln.com. The Body Shop at 48th and A. Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $10 off any athletic shoes $105 and under, and get $15 off any shoe over $105. Choose from respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, On, and 361 Running. And don't forget the trendy Hey Dudes. A new shipment just arrived for the season. Start your spring off right at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66 and Q in Lincoln. Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln by offering a number of services. From group homes for special needs adults to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the intellectual and developmental disability services your loved one needs to live a fulfilling life. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a more rewarding career, learn more about available positions. Learn more about services for your loved ones or employment today at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices. Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
At Doane University, you can play a sport you love and also receive a world-class education. You'll learn leadership skills on and off the court that will set you up for success long after graduation. Doane isn't a place where you get lost. It's a place to get found, and it's a place where your future is uniquely yours. Learn more about the endless possibilities at Doane University today at doane.edu.
March is a month of good luck. From epic runs in state basketball to watching Cinderella spring the upset in college basketball. And of course, St. Patrick's Day. Luck is on your side at Mullen Motors too, because their lot is full of great vehicles to take home. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride, as summer road trips are just around the corner. Your luck starts this month at Mullen Motors.
No tag-on, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
This is the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Second segment with AG, with Ahman Green, the leader, director, coach.
Yeah, lecturer.
The North Star for esports at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Like that. There's a lot to it, and to try to explain to people what it is that you're doing at for the University of Nebraska, at the University of Nebraska, for young people who love esports in the way that they do, to give it the proper exposure, give folks the introductory version of what esports is and what it's about.
Yeah, so esports is competitive video games. So the games that are out today, a little bit different from what we grew up doing or playing, in my age bracket, your age bracket, and people 5-10 years younger than me. They have games like Call of Duty, Valorant, League of Legends, Rocket League, Overwatch 2, Apex Legends, Fortnite, Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Street Fighter, games you heard of, they're still around. Mortal Kombat, FIFA, Madden, NBA 2K. So taking those video games and just like traditional sports, put in a season to them. So we have teams. We have those teams of the games I just mentioned. We have players that represent Nebraska esports and play in those games virtually against other colleges right now. And so all the games that I mentioned in a competitive platform, so just like watching the Nebraska football team, the ladies volleyball, men's basketball, ladies basketball compete against Ohio State, Northwestern, Michigan, in their in their sports, just traditional sports. That's the only difference. So it's still played on a platform where they're competing to score points or take over a territory and manage that and win against another university or community college or D1, D2, D3, junior college, or what have you. It doesn't matter to the division that we play in. That I say part of it, and that means that we could play anybody, anytime, anywhere, basically. And there's other schools, other D1s that are now catching on just like us. That's why I'm here. You talking about people that are part of the reason I'm here. One person in particular, Sherry Vell, who is the Dean of Students at the College of Journalism and Mass Communications. It's been her mission to get Nebraska esports up and going. And this is one of the steps bringing me in as a lecturer and the director of esports come the fall to help get the kids, just a little bit organized because they're already organized, I'm just being that faculty member to help guide them in the proper ways to make sure that we have different, um, I say, organization things coordinated rightly, correctly, like social media. Just like what we did with this show. You said let's get a name of the show. Let's
Mhm.
get the social media post out there to promote it. And so we got to do the same thing for the esports program in terms of the games they're playing, who we're playing against, get the promotion out there because it's going to be on platforms like this, like Twitch, like YouTube, like eventually Nebraska, something that I'm working on to have for the fall, Nebraska Esports Network, where people can tune in to that channel and watch every game get played on that and those certain platforms. And so that's why I'm here. And that's esports. I say um, the intro to it, and then building out what you know about traditional sports is building out teamwork, camaraderie, hard work, dedication, accountability, because the difference between the esports club team and then the esports varsity side of it, which they already do have a varsity side of it. So once we get to brass tacks in the fall, those players will already kind of know, they know now and they'll know then where they're going. And that's where the dedicated facility is going to come into play. Because then that'll be a place where we'll have our practices there Monday through Friday, looking to 3 hours to 3.5 hours every day. So you're talking about almost 15 to 16 hours per week where we'll be a team, just like football practice, just like basketball practice, just like track practice, just like any other traditional sport. We're going to practice, we're going to warm up, we're going to work on our mechanics, work on our team strategy, our game plan, find out which players are going to be the starters for our teams, which players are going to be our backups. And for the varsity level, that's their mindset already. Like they understand that now. And then for the club team, it's the area where I'm gonna look at that as a development area where we're gonna develop players. So they may casually come in and say, you know what, I'm not ready to play at that level. And then you know what, that's okay. But you can develop by still playing the games when you can. Play Valorant when you can, League or whatever game you're playing. Take your time. And if you ever flip that switch, be like, all right, coach, I want to try out for the varsity squad. All right, here we got tryouts. We're going to set those up. And for when those kids are ready, they could then go through the tryout. And if they make it, we're going to take the best player to be then on the starting roster because obviously we want the best players out there. Just like when we're building out the facility, we want the best equipment for them to compete on. And it's like I said, it's no different than having the weights in the weight room for all the traditional sports, Nebraska football, baseball, basketball. They use that weight room to get bigger, faster, stronger. That's what we did. And we're gonna have that access to that. That's what I want for our players is access to that weight room because physical training is going to be a part of an esports player, student athlete routine in the day. We're not going to be throwing heavy weights around, but we're going to get some cardio in. We're going to sweat. We're gonna, because when you have your body at a physical peak, you can manage competition a lot easier. You could think a lot faster. You could be indecisive. You don't be indecisive. You're making decisive decisions when you're competing, when your whole, you know, I say body, soul, physically and mentally is all, you know, perfectly aligned into things you got to do. And so that's where I did the same type of programming at where I was at before Lakeland University and for over time, this thing started. People, kids started figuring out. When you work out, you feel a little better mentally. You could work through the tough times in the game. When you have a bad play, you know how to bounce back from it. You know how to think about it and then talk to your teammates. Teaching that's where I come in to make sure they talking to their teammates properly. They're not being toxic as the phrase is coined. That word is coined. You're not being toxic to your teammates. You're speaking with respect and just helping each other out because you always have that consistent communication and you're able to win the games and be able to I say keep that understanding amongst each other and that respect and you become more than just teammates, become friends as well.
Amon, what's the in your mind of mine, what does the curriculum look like? If you're putting this together to
Yeah.
expand the program and give exposure to it, what would a lecture be, and then what would the curriculum look like?
Yeah, so the lecture just started on Monday and it starts with team building. And team building starts with me getting to know my players. And I've already started that process. Getting to know the club officers, getting to know the game managers, the game advisors, and some of the players out there. And so just like in my classroom, I'm getting to know my students. I have a few football players in there. I have a few general pop students. I'm getting to know their names and getting to know where they're from, playing little games, asking, certain questions, something that, they might not share if I don't ask them directly, but and get to know them, and they kind of get relaxed and understand, this is something that is more to it. And so we played a game. I think we did on Monday. We did two truths and a lie. Tell three things about yourself that are true, or two things about yourself that are true and one that's false. And of course, we threw them up on the board, and people would vote to say, "Oh yeah, that one's true. That one's them. The two are true. Then that one's the false." So it was a fun game. We were able to play. We're gonna play some more on Monday, as we continue to get to know each other, in that classroom. But the same thing with my players. Once we get to practice, I'm gonna do those type of activities because they have to have my respect. I gotta earn it. Because of why I'm here, don't mean I'm just gonna, have respect from these players and the game managers. It takes time. I gotta earn it, by doing my job as a coach and showing them that I have respect for them and showing them, look, I'm here to help. And if you need help, ask me. Whatever the type of help you need me to do, I'll figure it. I'll find out. You know, and so earning that respect first, and then from there we start growing together. Once we get to know each other, we'll start, pushing and prodding, in practice of how to push one another to get better. I'm gonna push them to get better. I'll see things in the gameplay that they may be lacking, or I might see things that might be their strengths, and I'm gonna pull that more. I'm gonna pull more of that out and say, hey, we need more of that conversation, or we need more of that gameplay that I saw from you, and don't be shy about it. Be confident, and to let you know, but you got support around you. It's not just you. If it's a team game that they're playing, along with myself, and so get that buy-in, because then once a student feels just like I felt here when I was with Coach Osborne and the coaching staff that we had, once the player and a student has that support and they feel confident that they have somebody has their back, they'll go out there and do just about anything for you, and they'll go out there play hard for the person next to them.
Amon, how many of these esports student athletes know Amon Green, the football player?
I'll say probably like 50% maybe,
Yeah,
if it's a number to it.
I was wondering
Which
if
is
they walk in and just go, "Okay, teach, what's up?" And then you
right.
wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a few, and I don't expect them to know. They were like when I was if they're in their 20s, their early 20s or late teens right now, so they were babies when I was running the ball in Green Bay. They weren't even
Oh,
around when I
oh,
was playing in Nebraska.
you better let them
They
know, coach.
I do. We've had the conversation. That's why I played the game. I think for my two truth and a lie, I put, I'll just say my lie was I was Nebraska Cornhusker all-time leading rusher, which I'm not. I'm number three
Uh,
behind, Mike Rozier and Amir Abdullah. And
yeah.
so I put that up there just to see if they were paying attention. And then some other question. Another one was um, that I shoutcasted. So shoutcasting in the video game world, in the esports world, is commentating. So
Okay.
I commentated games like Valorant, League of Legends, Fortnite, Rocket League, Halo, and Madden. So I put that up there, and then I put up there, which I'm very fortunate enough to be a Jordan athlete. So I got to meet Michael Jordan. So I put that up there too. And so I thought the Michael Jordan one would throw him, but they were like, "No, we kind of heard that you that guy." And no, so they actually picked the Nebraska one, the Russian one, because they just assumed I was the leading rusher. So,
Right.
but they learned. I was like, no, I'm not. I say I'm number three. I am the all-time leading rusher in Green Bay. They were like, oh, okay, cool, cool. So playing those
Yeah.
little games just to,
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
let
No
them
big
know.
deal. No big
Yeah,
deal, AG. No big deal. Uh,
that's how I look at it. That's how I was raised,
yeah,
DP, man. That's how I come
yeah,
off.
hey,
Everybody knows that.
one of the great organizations in the history of mankind. But hey, no big deal.
Yeah, that's just everybody. All the guys that I play with in that locker room in Lincoln, they know how I am. I'm not gonna talk about
yeah.
myself. When I'll say something, like I'll say that, and they'll be like, really? I'm like, I don't really think of it that way. They're like, bro, that's serious.
That is so what I mean, so at what point? So a lot of this in football speak, there's introduction, install,
Hmm.
and then there's development.
Yep.
The development part requires a reserve of people. And
Yeah.
do you have plans to reach into high schools to find the next set of UNL talent? Is that how that works?
Yep, I'm already doing it. Since I've been in town since January, and obviously I've been doing a lot of interviews and a lot of articles been going out. So all the kids in this literally in the state of Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, they've been catching wind of this. And so I've been getting emails directly from students or directly from high school esports coaches.
Mhm.
In particular, I know I got reached out from Westside High School already.
Yeah.
My high school, Omaha Central, they got an esports team they just started. They reached out to me. A school from in Missouri reached out to me. So the kids the kids and the coaches, they already know that something's coming pretty big and pretty and really awesome to Lincoln, Nebraska, for the University of Nebraska, and for all the high schools that are playing esports. Those kids are super excited and very happy to hear that we're going to be handing out 10 scholarships, partial scholarships, that we have a curriculum that is already started and it's just going to keep rolling come the fall. um, to hear all that, to know that Nebraska has this team coming and has a program that's going to be built for them to develop, as a player, but then also the job opportunities that, just like any other sport that brings in athletes, they got had work in that same industry potentially. They could be a coach, they could be a pro player, or as we have in the video game world, we have content creators that stream on Twitch, that stream on YouTube. They could go that avenue, or they could work for a video game company on some level. Video graphic design, game design, coding to actually build a game from the ground up, from the technical side, or they could be an IT manager or IT director for a company out there. So I named about 5 or 6 jobs right there, and there's probably 20 more out there for individuals in the video game industry that I will talk about in my class, that I will bring up to kids in practice all the time to say, hey, if I know your degree may be engineering, but engineering, you could, also do this and this if you have the drive to go in that direction. You could do this in the video game industry. You could help build out, infrastructures of a marketing plan or a business plan, or actually something technical. Build out a new PC and make it, very powerful or what have you for the next set of gamers that come around that want a PC that is highly functional. So there's so many, really big opportunities, that kids are starting to find out. And this is the first opportunity is that Nebraska esports is here. We got scholarships. We have programming that we're building around what we're doing.
AG, I think the two things that just hit me. One, I love the idea and concept of building it. I would like to throw this out, that maybe an AG invitational where you're inviting young gamers from all over the state. We pick a place, we pick a weekend, and we'll pick a couple of games that we do, and we'll find a place and we'll raise some funds, not only for scholarship, but for the advancement of this thing, to be able to promote
Correct.
it and
Thank
do
you.
something for these young folks. I think that'd be a great thing that we should do. AG, we'll toward the break here. And when we come back and close out, we'll have about 15 minutes in the final segment. But I want to talk about coaching. I want to talk about the legendary coaches that you played for. And I want to talk about the future, like in the perfect world, how you see this department growing. What's the end game? What's the mission look like so that we can help attain it? We'll be right back to the Ahman Green Show.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
At Doane University, you can play a sport you love and also receive a world-class education. You'll learn leadership skills on and off the court that will set you up for success long after graduation. Doane isn't a place where you get lost. It's a place to get found, and it's a place where your future is uniquely yours. Learn more about the endless possibilities at Doane University today at doane.edu.
March is a month of good luck. From epic runs in state basketball to watching Cinderella spring the upset in college basketball. And of course, St. Patrick's Day. Luck is on your side at Mullen Motors too, because their lot is full of great vehicles to take home. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride, as summer road trips are just around the corner. Your luck starts this month at Mullen Motors.
No tagline, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
This is Jay Foreman. When I played football for Nebraska and in the NFL, I wore protective gear to safeguard my health. Today, I'm not only protecting my health, but everyone in our community by staying up to date with the bivalent COVID vaccine. Update your protection with the bivalent COVID vaccine while it's still free. Find out more at healthylincoln.org. That's healthylincoln.org.
Guys, when I first started with Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping, I weighed in at over 300 pounds. Now, less than a year later, I'm under 200 pounds for the first time since high school. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, and it all began with the Barrel's 10-week challenge. 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and guided nutrition coaching to help you reach your fitness goals. Their next 10-week challenge begins on April 8th. If you're wanting to change your life like I have, head to theticketfm.com and click on Enroll Now on the homepage. Plus, get a promo code for a discount just for ticket listeners. Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping.
March is full of high school state basketball action, the NCAA tournament, baseball season starting up, all great things that also cause a lot of stress. Instead of letting your nerves get the best of you and cause uncomfortable tightness, get ahead of all of it with a massage from The Body Shop. The Body Shop in Lincoln is your place for all types of massages: deep tissue, hydrating, sports, Swedish, hot stone, aroma, and more. And don't forget about their couples massages. Book your appointment today at thebodyshoplincoln.com. The Body Shop at 48th and A. Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $10 off any athletic shoes $105 and under, and get $15 off any shoe over $105. Choose from respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, On, and 361 Running. And don't forget the trendy Hey Dudes. A new shipment just arrived for the season. Start your spring off right at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66 and Q in Lincoln. Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln by offering a number of services. From group homes for special needs adults to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the intellectual and developmental disability services your loved one needs to live a fulfilling life. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a more rewarding career, learn more about available positions. Learn more about services for your loved ones or employment today at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
This is the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Final segment with the legend, running back himself, Ahman Green. And as we were closing that thing out, and over the break, I have to be honest, Ahman, I got excited about the idea about the Ahman Green Invitational. I think an invitational, like a Madden Invitational with all the student athletes in the student center would just be amazing. I think that would be
fun.
I think it's a good thing. Yep, I think that's a good thing. You and I have to get to work on that. I think that.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
AG, nobody gets to where they are without. And you've already mentioned you had great parents, you had great family that were around you and led you and kind of directed you. And then you had the blessing to play for one of the greatest to ever do this coaching thing. Yeah. If I asked you about Coach Osborne, what comes to mind as the first thing that maybe people should know about him that they don't?
Oh, man. The first thing that comes to mind for me as a player and a friend now was the fact how much respect he had for you as a person. He cared for you as a person first. And that's how I mentioned, like, talking with my players, getting to know them. And so he did that in his way. You know, he's not, his tone is not real loud. It's a soft tone. And, just him getting to know you. And then in that process, he's getting to know how he can motivate you. And so, one thing that I globbed onto was the fact that from from the time I've known him, especially those first years with him, my first 3 years as a young kid developing in his college football program, that he had never said one foul word in a practice, in a meeting, in a post game locker room talk, pre-game locker room talk, and he had every reason to. We've had, we lost. I was only fortunate, very fortunate, to only lose 2 games on campus, and those 2 games he could have, went off on a tangent because we didn't play well, we didn't win. In practice, we had a lot of practice where we didn't show up in practice. We had bad practice where we should have, where some of them were restarted, and never once did he use a foul word. And as a kid growing up, you know, I was always would hear my parents, teachers, coaches say if, sometimes when you hear an adult cuss, they do it because they're emotional or they do it because they have nothing else to say and this is all they got to say. They're just going to say those 4-letter words. And or they may not respect you. Somebody say that because they don't have respect for you. And it was like that, and that was another thing that just clicked. And I'm like, if I ever become a coach, I'm gonna do it just like him because of that respect. He got that first because between treating us like men, treating us like adults when some of us still teenagers, but treating us like adults, and then being straight up honest with us. Hey, you're gonna play ball on this team if you stay out, hit the books, study your playbook, and do what you need to do. Stick to your business off the field too. You'll be able to play a lot for this team. And that's all I needed to hear. He said that to my mom and dad in our living room. We were living on Saratoga or no Seward and right off of now in Central Omaha. There, not far from UNO. He told my mom and dad. And my dad asked the question, will my son play his freshman year? And he said, well, if he hits the books, he studies his playbook, and he comes out of training camp, and we see what we expect from him, then most likely he may not be the starter, but he could definitely play if he does all those things. And my dad said, okay, that's all I needed to know. Because he knew I was in the room most likely, and I'm listening to him ask that question, and he knew how I was. Once I hear something that's what I need to do. Because you remember, go back to that first hit when I got a stinger, and that doctor told me that's probably the worst pain. I was like, that's all I needed to hear. Thank you. So that gave me the motivation. Like, I'm gonna come in, do my job, what I've been doing since little league, since I've been in school, hit the books. I think I was a freshman, all academic. I was honor roll my freshman year, off the field. And everybody else knows the stuff on the field. I was freshman newcomer of the year of the Big Eight. I set freshman records that I believe are still standing. But all that was the icing on the cake. My mindset was fixed on helping that team win a national title. That's what I was thinking about. And if it was just the fact that I only played 2 plays that season, you know what? Those are going to be the best 2 plays they're going to get out of me. That was my mindset. I was whatever that get my freshman year, it's gravy. I'm not, I didn't complain about not playing, not being a starter yet. I was a 5th man on the totem pole, and I knew what I had to do. I had to just stick by the book, keep working hard, hit the weight room, study, have my grades right. So when my opportunity comes, as it did my freshman year, that 6th game of the season against Missouri, I'm the starting running back now. And nothing, you couldn't tell me that in the summertime that I was going to be starting mid-season. If somebody said that to me, if I said that to young Ahman right now, I'd be like, nah, that's it. I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, really?
You're doing too much. You're doing too much.
I'd be like, what? I'm like, I'm gonna do what my freshman year? Are you gonna be starting for the number 1 team in the country? And so when that opportunity came, unfortunate, it was through injury, through Lawrence getting in trouble and Damon Benning tweaking his hamstring, Clinton Childs spraining his MCL. And then it was the toss up between me and Jay Sims, good friend of mine. And they chose me. It was something that's like, wow. The thing was, I was ready because I had been playing every game up until that game. We were Nebraska. We were 500 yards on the ground every game. We were putting 50 points on the board. So that means guys like me, we got time to play. I got time. I got practice reps, and I got game reps. And because I played against Oklahoma State, I played against Michigan State, Pacific, all the teams that up until Missouri, I played in every single game. So I was prepared for that game. And so, just playing with a guy that, commanded respects, but he got it. He got it from me and he got it, it was reciprocated and he earned it. So just having him coached us the way he coached me, for me, I was like, this is it. This is the guy. This is a coach right here. I totally understand coaching now, and if I get a chance to coach, or be a parent, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm gonna make sure my kids are raised and coached the right way, where they understand respect, they understand accountability, and how to do things and get things done. When you say you're gonna do something, you do it. If it's get good grades, hit the weight room, stay out of trouble, do the things you need to do to be ready to play ball. This is how you're gonna do it. I'm gonna teach you. And not just putting them, out where in a situation they don't know what to do. Here you go. If you don't really understand it, this is how you do it. And it's giving those opportunities, and it's saying that what he said to my mom and dad, he came through with it. If a mom does this, he's gonna play, and that's what happened.
AG, we have about 3 minutes before we close up, and again, thank you for sharing your stories. I'm already looking forward to next week to see what AG is going to share with us. But you now have the responsibility, the task of leading a program at your alma mater. What's what is the focus? What's the one thing you want to make sure you accomplish while you're here?
The one thing is to accomplish to get get that facility, the first of many facilities built.
Mhm.
And then at the end of my career, I don't know when that's going to be, but it's going to be years from now, that every kid that I was able to coach, that I had the same effect on them as Coach Osborne had on me. That they remember conversations, they remember moments where, man, he just said something that just it makes sense, and and now I'm gonna use that to make myself better. Because that's how I'm looking at this. I'm taking this just as serious as any other coach should take what they're doing as a coach. And that's what I want. I want to make sure that I'm not coaching just the best esports student athletes out there. I want to make sure I'm coaching the best human beings out there. They just happen to play video games. They happen to be a Valorant player. They happen to be a League of Legends player. That's all. That's what I want. I want the best human beings coming out of the University of Nebraska that are prepared for the world. And whatever avenue they want to go down, they're going to go down that avenue and accomplish their goals.
AG, I have a sneaky suspicion that, like your mentor, soon, there will be national championships on the campus of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln because of Ahman Green.
Part of the goals. Yes, indeed.
Hey,
it's
man.
on that list.
Listen, man. Good stuff tonight, AG. We'll share this stuff with everybody locally. And then here's the deal. I can't wait until next week, brother. Good stuff
Me
tonight.
neither. This was fun.
This
Thank
good
you,
stuff.
everybody in the chat. Joel and Scott, appreciate the comments there watching. I hope we got more people in the chat next week.
Yeah, I have
Tyler?
zero doubts about that, man. I have zero doubts about that. AG, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. We'll do it again next week.
Hey, you're welcome, DP. See you next week.
See you next week, folks. Don't go anywhere. Speed and Power coming up. Megan Walker with Trey. Trey Palmer joins her on Speed and Power. It's more like Speed and Speed, but stay tuned to 93.7 The Ticket.